High school basketball is alive and well in the state of Pennsylvania. Stay tuned as we cover the 2017-2018 high school basketball season as we put 3 in the key. Welcome to the premiere episode of 3 in the Key. We are live on the Sports Fan Base Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Richie Blyweiss, and I'm going to be guiding you through this entire season of 3 in the Key as we break down all that high school basketball has to offer in and around Pennsylvania. But I can't do this alone. In addition to our wonderful production crew at the Sports Fan Base Network, I have 2 amazing analysts here. An SFBN mainstay. I have Jack Kapp, one of the most knowledgeable men in all of high school sports, and I'm so excited to have you here for basketball.
Glad to be here. Now I have to live up to that.
You do. Well, you know, I watched you all season with Steven Schreiber on In the Goal, and it was just a great show, and I'm just so glad once I got to have a chance to sit down and talk with him. So glad.
Should be fun.
It really will be. And Josh Abrams, you're making your debut here on the Sports Fan Base Network, and this is really exciting to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very excited to talk about my favorite sport, basketball.
And that's what this all comes down to. I think you guys really are just the perfect people from our SFBN crew to be here. We've talked a lot over these last couple of weeks about how we want to approach this show, how we want to approach the season, and I think everything for us always came down to the viewers at home. What do they need to know? And that's why we decided to do this run-through show where it's just for our first episode, similar to what my staff and I did within the trenches. We want to give you at home a breakdown. We want to give you a little bit of a guide going through this 2017/2018 season. So that's what this episode is for those of you at home. This is going to be talking not as much about games, but more talking about teams as a whole. We're going to talk about teams. We'll talk about districts. We'll talk about leagues. We just have so much that happens, and it's such a big state. But tonight, we have to be able to get into these teams. Before I do that, though, I have to remind our viewers at home, please, you're watching us on Facebook Live, you're watching us on our YouTube channel. We need your support. We need you at home to come through and comment, like, share, love our video so that we can keep bringing you this great content and this great action, this great analysis here. We want to keep doing it, but we need your input. Our production assistants are standing by. They're monitoring our page so that we can get your comments as you're sharing them. We want this to be an interactive show that is beneficial for you at home. There's a team you want to hear about? Tell us. We'd love to talk about them. There's something that you disagree with? Tell us. We would love to argue with you right here on the air. Maybe we'll argue with them. But we're not going to. Well, maybe we will. We will. I'll leave that for Josh. He's new. He can take the heat. But I think that this will be a really great show if we can make it more interactive for our viewers at home. But tonight, guys, we really want to break down the districts. We want to go through districts 1 through 12. We're going to skip a couple of districts that really aren't going to have a lot of play this year on our show. But I think it's important that we go in order, and I think District 1 really is a great place to start. Now, this is going to be a district that includes Suburban 1. Suburban 1, you talk about the 3 different conferences. We've got the American, the Continental, we've got the National Conference. We'll talk about Chessmont a little bit too, but let's start with American. You know, when you think about the Suburban 1, the SOL, you're thinking about teams like Wissahickon, Plymouth White Marsh, Happer Horse from Upper Dublin, but Cheltenham, I think really, and it's my alma mater, so I'm maybe a little biased in saying this, but I think Cheltenham really is a big key to look at here. And I'll open that up to either of you guys, however you want to.
Well, Cheltenham did well last year, 19-7 in overall and 11-3 in the league. They're a state qualifier. They got to the District 1 semifinal, so this is a very good team. Jack Clark is a big star on this team. LaSalle commit. So he's 6'6", 6'7". Let's call him a 2 guard. He's a senior, of course. Ahmad Bickley and Amir Lewis. Kayeen Healy, 6'6", rounded out. This is a nice squad. They crushed Northeast early in the season, 72-38. So
let's also not forget that Cheltenham also was one of the very few teams that beat Abington last year in Abington.
Rival.
Abington, yeah.
When we talk about the national, Suburban 1 National, we'll get more into that. But
That's right.
Cheltenham could be an underdog this year.
Cheltenham really could be, but I think a team that we have to look out for. And Josh, I knew you wanted to talk about this a little bit more, and that's PW, Plymouth Whitemarsh.
Oh, yeah.
SOL, the American Conference, District 1, 6A. Talk to me about Plymouth Whitemarsh.
Well, they're more of a tenured powerhouse in district, not only in District 1 basketball, but in the state of Pennsylvania. They're a state winner in 2010 with C.J. Aiken, star power forward, who went to St. Joe's, and now head coach Jim Donofrio has a really young group this year with twins Ahmad and Amin Williams. But what you're looking for with Plymouth Whitemarsh is their big, tall, lanky 7-foot center Naheem McLeod. No relation to Rodney McLeod, but this kid is tall, he's lanky, he's got a ton of length, and he provides a lot of attention in the middle of the paint, which should open up the three-point arc for everyone else on the team.
I've seen him listed in 3 different sources: 7 feet, 7'1", and 7'2". So how big is he really? We don't know. But he's a 7-footer.
Either way, yeah.
He's one of the 3 7-footers in the area that we know of, and he's got a lot of offers: Villanova, LaSalle, VCU, Virginia. Phenomenal progress over the summer with his AAU program. Great hands, big kid, a little thin, but he'll put the weight on as he fits into his body.
And PW's got some really big games. Later in the year, they've got games against Cheltenham in January and February.
Yeah.
So, those are some really, really big things coming up.
And you kind of have to figure that Plymouth Whitemarsh and Cheltenham are going to be the front runners for that SOL American title. And you never know that an early February, but a late season match between Plymouth Whitemarsh and Cheltenham could determine that title.
That could be a very exciting game.
Well, let's move into the Continental. Let's stay with Suburban 1, but let's go to the Continental Conference here. We look at North Penn. I think you have to really give North Penn a good look here. But William Tennant, not that good. Not that great of a season last year. I don't think we really have much hopes for Tennant coming into this year.
Tennant has bounced around, not even just with basketball, but in many other sports, including football and many other major sports. But Tennant is going to be a team that you're going to have to figure is kind of like bottom of the league. They're going to try and throw everything at you to try and knock off your hot streak. When let's say North Penn or Central Bucks East, CV West, they're going to be at the top of the standings at the end of the season. Tennant's going to be one of those teams where they just throw everything at them and try and knock them off.
Absolutely. Suburban 1 National, and Kapp, I know you've got a couple of things here. When we talk Suburban 1 National, Neshaminy, Harry S. Truman, Council Rocks, North and South, but Abington, I think Abington is the real key here.
It's the team that everybody is talking about early on, and they have quite a lineup, starting with the big fella, Eric Dixon, who we've been seeing since he was a freshman. And he was about, 6'6" when he was a freshman, something like that. He's listed at 6'7", 6'8".
Just like every freshman.
Yeah, 240, 250.
Like me when I was a freshman, around 6'6". I've shrunk over the years.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah, I used to be 6'2", but
yeah.
He is listed somewhere in the range of 6'6" to 6'8", 240 to 255. And now what we're seeing is a musculature on him. Whereas when he was a freshman, he was a little soft. He was growing up a little bit. And now I've seen pictures of him. I haven't seen him live this year, but he's muscular now. So he's really an intimidating presence. He's a bull in the lane. So he's a guy that he's got offers from everybody and will continue to get offers from all the big schools. He's only a junior.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and he has plenty of time to go. And along with Eric Dixon, let's not forget about Lucas Monroe,
right.
6'5" junior, lengthy, has a very long wingspan. He can create a lot of trouble in the paint. And along with Monroe, him and Dixon have established their 3-point game. So now not only is Eric Dixon a force to be reckoned with in the paint, he can stretch it outside and shoot it.
And he has.
And he's definitely shown that he can do that. And Robbie Heath.
Robbie Heath's the
veteran point guard. He was I believe he was a freshman when Abington won one of its first district championships back in 2015. He's a tenured guard, and Charles Grassi loves him. Charles Grassi even said that Heath should be getting more offers, and he's not. But I obviously with how good Abington can be this year, I think this is a year where Heath can get some set offer.
I mean, they had a disappointing ending to their year last year.
Absolutely.
Losing early in the state tournament, but this is a team that could advance very far in the state, and I would not be surprised if they do. They're 14 deep, possibly. Very well-rounded team. Grasty's been there this is his 8th year. This is the best team he's had.
Yeah.
Obviously, those top 3 players we mentioned, but there's a couple of others that are going to show some talent.
It seems that Grassi has the key players set up, and now it's all about figuring out that bench rotation. And Grassi's a tenured coach, as you said. He's in his 8th year. If Grassi's able to put together a solid bench, then I don't see how Abington can come close to losing a game. They're just going to be a very powerful team this year.
Is there anyone in Suburban 1 that really can compete with them? I mean,
Plymouth
Chamonix is kind of a maybe. PW, you think?
Yeah, but PW, Jim Donofrio is as tenured of a coach as anyone in Suburban 1, and he knows what he has to do to beat Abington. In terms of the SOL National, the only team that I can really think of that could keep up with Abington offensively is Chamonix, because of the development of Ryan Archidiakono's younger brother Chris, and also Anthony Papio, the second backcourt, frontcourt teammate. Those two could be a force to be reckoned with in other games. Will they be enough to take over Abington? Probably not. Abington is going to be a very deep team once they develop everything.
And I think that's very fair when you talk about Abington. I think Chamonix maybe, but Council Rock North and South competitive here?
Well, Council Rock North has a very smart coach in Jesse Krasnage. Krasnage was a player at my alma mater, Pennsbury, and he was a very smart player. He was a point guard. He loves to run. He loves to run a high tempo offense, and Krasnage definitely has his kids thinking in the right direction. But from what I have seen so far, Council Rock North is not able to finish out those close games, and that's something that's
the key.
Yeah, that'll come.
By the way, Archidiakono had 31 of 48 points against Holy Ghost a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's like 60% of the points.
Suburban 1, I know we're going to be talking Suburban 1 a lot on this show throughout the season.
Yeah.
For right now, I want to go on to, we're going to stay with District 1, but I want to talk Chestmont here. We've got Chestmont American, and we've got Chestmont National. So let's go American first here. When we talk American, you're talking about Great Valley. Great Valley, good team. Unionville, Sun Valley, Kennett, Bayard Ruston, Octorara, and Oxford. That's the American. Who can we look for in that conference there?
I would probably think of Great Valley as the team to beat. I know Great Valley was the school that produced McCall Bridges, who now goes to Villanova. That was a couple years ago. I'm not 100% sure about their roster right now, but I'm sure Kapp, you would know.
Well, not that much. I mean, we're just getting used to talking about them a little bit, but they went 22-6 last year. They got into the state tournament, 11-1 in the league. They're a 5A team. It's a big-time team.
Not necessarily the team you think about when you think of powerhouse basketball, but Great Valley could definitely be a team to deal with.
Chestmont National. Let's go to the other side of Chestmont here. Downingtown East, Downingtown West, Avon Grove, East, Bishop Shanahan, Henderson and Coatesville. Shanahan, Coatesville, your top teams coming out of here?
Coatesville went to the district championship last year and was able to come close to beating Abington, but a lot of just like some of the teams we'll talk about later, a lot of Coatesville's players are on the football team, and we're going to need to wait for them to get back into shape. But once everyone's fully healthy and ready to go, Coatesville will be.
I'm going to throw this out there, and you both have basketball knowledge, obviously, but football knowledge does come into play. Talk to me about the difference between football shape and basketball shape. You just brought that up. How long does it take to get and transform?
Well, I mean, there's the factor of just getting over football season and the pounding that you take as a football player, because it is a collision sport, has to have an effect on your ability to play basketball.
Well, and the constant ability to run. You keep running and you keep moving. Football, at least you get those breaks. With basketball, you don't really have that.
Yeah,
I was talking about more that they've taken the beating, and and the recovery is going to take a little while, and then they got to get into basketball mode. It's a different type of.
And that's what I was going to say. Football, you're only playing once a week. Basketball, you're going to play 3, maybe 4 games a week for as much as we know. It's going to not only is it going to be tough to adjust physically, but mentally getting into the shape of, oh, I have another game very soon. So.
Well, and I think that was one of the discussions for us initially, getting the show together, talking, and that was a big challenge for me even, was saying, well, coming from in the trenches, we only can cover one game a week. Now here we've got high school basketball. We're going to have, like you just said, Josh, we're going to have 2, 3, maybe even 4 games throughout the course of a week to discuss, to break down. Standings can change and alter throughout the course of the week. District 2. We want to talk about the Lackawanna counties here, Lackawanna 1 through 4, but let's start with Lackawanna 1 here. Abington Heights, Valley View, West Scranton, Scranton Prep, and Scranton. So we've got a couple of big 5A teams, a big 4A team in Scranton Prep. Abington Heights, top team, West Scranton, Scranton Prep. What are we thinking, guys?
Well, Abington Heights, I think, is going to be the team that might run away with things in Lackawanna 1. Scranton Prep, unfortunately, is in the classification right below them, and I'm thinking that they have the biggest shot at taking down Abington Heights. But we would have to wait for the District 2 tournament.
Yeah, now Abington Heights went 22-3 last year. Again, they're the 5A team in there. Scranton Prep played against Imhotep, lost in the second round. We'll be talking about Imhotep a little bit later on. For them to advance through the tournament, they'd have to face an Imhotep team again, most likely, because TEP's probably even better this year than they were last year. But Abington Heights is a really good team. And they got into the semi last year against Wood, against Archbishop Wood. So this is a quality program.
Really, it absolutely is. And when you look at it, we always talk about the districts and the way that these different leagues are formed. We talk about the different counties here. But you go to from Lackawanna 1 to Lackawanna 2, and I feel like there's almost a big drop-off.
There's not much
really,
there.
And that's it, Cap. There's really not a lot there. Western Wayne, Wallenpaupack area, Honesdale, North Pocono, who got some love during the football season, and then you have Delaware Valley. I just don't know that Lackawanna 2 has the staying power that 1, 3, or 4 does, for that matter.
Well, nobody from Lackawanna 2 got into the state tournament last year. No team got in. So there's your starting point right there.
Yeah, that's all you need to know about that, really, that nobody can make it from.
Well, you never know. We haven't really studied it all that much, but we don't know what they're going to produce this year. But some of these schools,
you never know. Yeah, you never know. There could be a sleeper that comes in out of nowhere.
Lackawanna 3. Big teams are going to be Holy Cross and Mid-Valley. I imagine we're going to say something about them. But Dunmore, Carbondale area, Old Forge, Lakeland, and Riverside. Anything there? Holy Cross coming out of 2A, Mid-Valley out of 3A.
Yeah, Holy Cross finished 19-7 last year. They were 2A level classification. Mid-Valley 3A class, and finished 23-3. So they both had great records last year, and they both got into the state tournament, obviously. So, there's some talent there. Dunmore is a team that I've over the years heard of and has produced some good basketball teams. Not really sure what they have this year. We'll study that a little bit later on also.
Absolutely. Lackawanna 4, not a whole lot coming out of here. Mountain View, really probably your big team out there out in 2A. Susquehanna, Montrose, Elk Lake, Blue Ridge, Lackawanna Trail, and Forest City. But I think Mountain View in 2A really has to be the big one to look at. Coming up on 3 in the Key, we're going to talk about districts 3, 7, and 12. Reading, Pine Richland, the Public League, and the Catholic League. I know we got a big audience waiting to hear about our thoughts with Public League and Catholic League. So stay tuned to the Sports Fan Base Network. You're watching 3 in the Key.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Welcome back to the Sports Fan Base Network. You're watching the premiere episode of 3 in the Key, where we are breaking down the high school boys basketball all across the state of Pennsylvania. You've already seen us talk about Districts 1 and 2. Now it's time for us to get into District 3. We're talking really about the Berks League right here with District 3. Reading is the 6A state champs. They are just such a good school. Lonnie Walker is a big story coming out of there, but I think the ultimate question here with that is, can Reading repeat their success?
That would be very difficult to do because that was one of the best teams I've seen in years. And they ran through the state tournament. It was very exciting. Lonnie Walker, best player in the state last year, in my opinion. Big-time player for University of Miami right now. And they had a parade in the city of Reading for that team. And that means a lot up there. That's a big deal. It's the first championship ever.
First ever in, I think it's about 100 and
some years.
Yeah, 100 some years. I mean, that within itself shows how big of a deal it is if they're doing a parade throughout the city of Reading.
Yeah.
But the loss of Lonnie Walker this year is something that you can't really replace with just one player. And I say that because you can take stats and compare them to each other.
Yeah.
But Lonnie Walker was just one of those players where you put him on the court, you put the ball in his hands, you say, go make a play, and he went and did it.
I went to the state championships, and I was so excited to see him play because I hadn't seen him. I heard all about him and everything. You go through the year and you hear Lonnie Walker, and people say, oh, he's the best. And I said, well, let me see the guy. And I saw him in that game, and as the game progressed, he got better and better and stronger, and he was a man amongst boys in that game. And they were playing Pine Richland, which was not a slouch team.
No,
but
not at all.
Lonnie Walker was a stud and a half last year.
Yeah, and obviously he was the leader for that Reading team. Very hard to replace, as I said. They're gonna need key contributions from Wesley Butler, who's a junior point guard. Mm-hmm. We got Xavier Starks, who's a senior shooting guard. Butler is the lone returning starter. So not only did they lose Walker, but they lost everyone else that helped accompany.
That's tough when you lose the majority of your starting lineup. Obviously, it happens with high school sports. We see it with college sports often, and with college basketball, you see it after a year or two now with these guys that are just that good. Do you guys see Lonnie Walker being an NBA recruit, being an NBA draft pick in the years ahead?
Oh, definitely in the years ahead.
Yes.
Do you see him coming out freshman or sophomore year?
He could be a one and done. He could definitely be one of the. It's not common.
I don't know that I've ever seen that out of Miami where
that's
a guy
what I was
goes
gonna
one
say.
and done. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, Jim Larinaga likes to keep his guys pretty long. I know I don't know if Jaquan Newton is still on the team, but that Philly product is still on there. But
great player.
So I mean, we'll see what happens. If his draft stock is high, he might want to go for it.
Let's talk about the Lancaster-Lebanon League. We've got 3 sections out of here. Cap, I know you and I were talking about it earlier in the show, but I'll let you get into this these 3 sections here. Go ahead, Cap.
Well, it's the Lancaster-Lebanon League. So there's Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. In Section 1 is Hempfield and Lebanon, who played in the tournament last year. They got into the state tournament. They're expected to do well, but also Cedar Crest and Manheim Township expected to succeed this year.
Had a good run in football, Manheim Township.
Did they?
They did.
Oh, okay,
They
yeah.
did.
Oh, yeah.
They
I
went to
heard
the
about
state
them.
semis.
Yeah. There's a couple Manheims, but that's one of them anyway. And then Lampeter Strasburg. I think that's how you pronounce it. Am I saying
That sounds good.
correctly?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm good
Okay,
with it.
Lampeter Strasburg.
Josh and I approve of this.
Ephrata. I know I have that one. Garden Spot and Ephrata. They're predicting. Now, these predictions are coming from LL Hoops, and there's a guy named Del Jackson. I've communicated with him. He writes an article a couple times a week in regard to this league. Basketball's very big in this section of the state. Lancaster, Lebanon, it's just west of the Philadelphia region and east of the Harrisburg, Central PA region. In the 3rd section, there's Lancaster Catholic, Columbia, and Lancaster Mennonite, all expected to do well. And Columbia also might be in there. Columbia qualified for the state tournament last year. So it's a pretty good league.
There's a lot of teams this year that we could see compete with Reading. Reading already has a big target on their back.
Do you think that they compete with Reading simply because of the loss of talent at Reading, or do they compete with Reading because they've gotten
I
better?
I wouldn't even say loss of talent, Richie. I'd say loss of experience. You know, as I said, we had Wesley
Very well
Butler,
put. Very well put.
Butler being the lone starter,
Yeah.
and all of these young guys, and even the seniors that are going to be there coming back. It's hard. It's really hard to have that type of development spread throughout the entire team.
Very well
So Reading's going to have to really focus on their young guys and try and get their feet wet slowly but surely.
Very well put. Mid-Penn Conference, Lower Dauphin,
Yeah.
Middletown, Harrisburg, Trinity. Who do we see really making a push here in the Mid-Penn Conference?
Well, I would say my initial thought is Harrisburg, simply because they were one of the only 3 teams that beat Reading last year, and they beat them in the District 3 semis.
Big accomplishment.
Yeah,
Yes, it
absolutely.
was,
So
yeah.
Harrisburg is my team to
And
watch
Harrisburg
there.
always puts out a good product. Harrisburg is a very, very strong program.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, District 7. We want to go into District 7. The Whippy Out, they are absolutely huge. They run classes 1A through 6A, 131 teams
Amazing.
in
Just-
District 7.
just- yeah, just in-
This is just District 7. We're talking 131 teams. Pine Richland, you have to look at quarterback Phil Djokovic. You have to look at him. He's on the basketball team too. You know, we just talked about
he's
this.
good.
And he's good.
Very good.
But we just talked about this
Yeah.
idea of going
Yeah.
from football shape to basketball shape.
Yeah.
But Djokovic, Pine Richland, they lost to Reading last year in 6A's championship. Where do you see Pine Richland here this year, guys?
Well, I was going to say, by the way, they were in that game with Reading. Big
They only
time.
lost by 4.
I know, and it went back and forth. And Pine Richland is just loaded with giant, good athletes, and Djokovic is one of them. He's 6'5", about 225, I'm thinking, and he's a future NFL quarterback, in my opinion.
Notre Dame comment.
Right. He'll be playing at Notre Dame next year, probably.
Yep.
Most likely be quarterbacking Notre Dame, which is a big achievement in itself. But I see him in the NFL. He's a major talent. We saw him in football, and he is really good. But so anyway, that's a team we definitely will be seeing down the road.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who else should we look at in District 7, though? District 7, you know, we're talking about so many teams. It can't just be Pine Richland. Who else can really give District 7 a run here?
Well, North Allegheny is known out west as being a basketball powerhouse, and let's not forget about Butler. Butler is a big conference opponent to Pine Richland, and Pine Richland had to go through them 2 or 3 times last year. When you have that great of a rivalry between 2 teams, it's one of those games where you just never know what's going to happen. Butler and North Allegheny are the teams that I'm looking for.
Wow, absolutely. Guys, we are going to take a quick break here, but we want to get into District 12. That's our last big district that we want to talk about. As we talk District 12, we're going to talk Public League, we're going to talk Catholic League there, but we've got 8 big teams to be looking out for. So make sure you stay tuned as we put 3 in the key.
Hi, I'm Marty Bystrom, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In my experience in Major League Baseball, I know how important it is for high school athletes to gain exposure. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you are a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Flip City Shakes is a proud sponsor of the Sports Fan Base Network, now with 2 locations in Southampton and Quakertown. From burgers and shakes to salad and sandwiches, including the ever-trending mac and cheeseburger, they continue to serve the same great food. Come visit us at Flip City Shakes in Southampton and Quakertown. Flip City Shakes. Good food, good atmosphere, a flippin' good time.
Welcome back to the inaugural episode of 3 in the Key right here on the Sports Fan Base Network. Thank you so much for sticking with us as we went through our short commercial break there. But we want to get right back into this. We've got one more district to talk about, and that is a big district. It is a big district, and it's going to encompass everything from the Public League through everything else you could once talk about. Catholic League, we have so much. But we have put together the top 8 teams from what our analyst experts think here. Top 8 teams. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Let's go with that. Experts. That's perfect. That's even better.
Well,
That's fine. We're going to use that. We're going to take
All right.
liberties here. I'm the host. I'm going to take liberties. So we've got the top 8 teams that we think here. And we're going to start off with Imhotep. We're going to go Imhotep, and then we're going to go Constitution. So for those Constitution fans at home, stay tuned. But we're going to go Imhotep first here, guys. Go
Imhotep's
ahead.
a good place to start.
Good. It's a great place to start. Absolutely.
Yeah, Imhotep's another traditional powerhouse in basketball. They always seem to steamroll through their opponents in the public league, and it's very hard. It's very difficult to figure out what team at their level, at the 4A level, can knock them off.
Absolutely. Imhotep, Cat?
It would be very difficult to knock Imhotep off. I got to see them for a short time. I was at a meeting at the school at Imhotep, and I heard all this noise. I went in the gym, and then here they were playing Frankfurt High School. Well, they held Frankfurt to 17 points. With 1 minute left in the third quarter, Frankfurt had 17. Wow. And I stayed for most of the third quarter. I saw most of the third quarter, and they are a force on defense. They are scary. Four guys that are 6'7", including Donta Scott, who's a big time recruit. Looks like he's got offers from South Carolina and a bunch of other people, but he's a junior. He's not even a senior. He's 6'7", probably still growing. Jameel Riggins, Sharif Knox, Demir Bishop, all big guys. They lost 2 tremendous guards. They had just an amazing team last year. Deron Russell and David Beatty. Beatty went to South Carolina. Russell went to the University of Rhode Island. And Andre Noble is the coach there, and it's a really successful program.
Wow.
So this is a good team.
Did they lose too much, though?
Well, they lost those 2 guards, and Andre's a friend of mine from when I used to be a referee, and I said, Andre, how's it looking? You know, you lost Deron Russell, who was a spark plug that you couldn't believe, great athletic player, and so on. And he says, oh, we're going to be good, Cap.
There you
we're
go.
We're going to be real good.
There you go. You got the endorsement.
Yeah, they scrimmaged Newman Goretti and ran him around a little bit, and Imhotep's, once again, going to be a state power.
Let's talk
Once
Constitution.
Again. Yep.
2A.
Constitution, they came into my alma mater last year and Pennsbury, and blew them off the roof. Constitution last year, and probably this year for all I know, is going to be so athletic and so long. And what they did to Pennsbury last year, who was pretty good last year with Mark Flagg and whatnot, they were able to get up and block our shots. They were able to get their hand in the passing lanes and really just interrupt our offense. The mojo, they're gonna try and get into the heads of a lot of their opponents, just simply by causing a lot of turnovers, getting out in transition. That's what I'm expecting from teams like Imhotep and Constitution. These teams that can get out and run.
Very athletic.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Very athletic
Math,
teams.
Civics, and Science, MCS.
Interesting name, and an even more interesting mascot, the Mighty Elephants.
The Mighty that's a new one.
That's one of the best.
As a mascot enthusiast, that's a new one.
I am a mascot enthusiast.
I'm a mascot
also.
enthusiast. I love it. I love it.
I love the Boiling Springs Bubblers. That's
I
one of my favorites.
I was partial to the Mad Dog from the Philadelphia Wings. I was partial to that. But
well,
all right, go
anyway,
ahead.
MCS has the Mighty Elephants. MCS always well coached and always athletic, and a very, very similar team to Constitution. Always the battle between Constitution and MCS for the top small team in the public league. And when they play each other, it's a packed house, and it's quite an atmosphere. Yeah.
Auden Reed, part of the Universal Charter School system, a school I actually used to work for. Yeah, I used to work for Universal, but Auden Reed, gorgeous school.
New school.
Right in there, beautiful new school. Where do we see Auden Reed coming out in District 12 here?
Well, District 12 is going to be a very tough district to play in.
Yep.
Auden Reed isn't really what you would think of in terms of your traditional state powerhouse. But they can make a lot of noise this year. They can easily compete with MCS and Constitution.
Absolutely.
Auden Reed moved up to 4A, so they'll be knocking heads with Imhotep
okay,
towards the end of the season. So they moved up a little bit. It is a beautiful building, by the way. It's air conditioned. It's a whole different experience from the old Auden Reed, which was a very dangerous place to go to. I used to ref there. But it's a brand new place. It's really nice. And they had a great team last year, and they're looking pretty good this year. So they're in the Independence division of the public league, which is the top, what they used to call the A division. And there's only 6 teams that are in that division, and all 6 make the playoffs just by virtue of being in the Independence division. And they get a high seed also because they're in the independents. But Auden Reed's expected to do well this year.
So they could use that seating to their advantage there. Just their position in the school, they can really use
it gives
that
them,
there.
It gives them a step into
It
the
really
team
does.
right away. Yeah.
Bartram. Bartram got a lot of play during football season. Where do we stand this year?
Yeah, Bartram. Well, I spoke to the coaching staff of Bartram, and they are very excited. They think they can compete with pretty much everybody. They lost early on 3 games to Judge, Chichester, and Sankofa, which is a surprising team. Sankofa may do very well this year. Sankofa beat ML King a couple weeks ago, which was a big surprise. But anyway, getting back to Bartram, they feature a 6'5" Demir Folks, 6'5" Ali Sharif, is described as a very good kid, real smart, D2 type product. There's several guys that are D1 possibilities. So this is a team that may surprise people. They play a couple games coming up that should be interesting, and they have 5 or 6 guys that are in the 6'3" to 6'6" range.
They catch fire early. That could be a team that really gets something going here, catches some steam.
Yeah.
Overbrook.
Yeah, Overbrook is a team that had 9 transfers come in, and it's an old-time power, and it could be another surprise team. So
2 more teams for you here, Cap. The tallest team in public league history, Lincoln.
Yeah, I spoke to the chairman of the public league, Ben Dubin, old friend, and he's saying that unofficially they're the tallest team in 110 years in the public league.
Wow. Thank you for throwing in the unofficially.
Unofficially. Because we don't
I like that. Well, hey, listen, we don't want to throw out any fake news
Actually,
here.
yeah.
Not SFBA.
I guess the best way to be able to tell is to stand next to him, right?
That's right.
Yeah, well, the one kid is supposedly 7 feet. I met him last year. He was at Northeast High. I worked there, and I saw him in the hallway. And of course,
he was ducking
I
down
went right
under
up
the
to him and
ceiling.
I said, "Do you play basketball?" I mean, and he didn't
That's
speak.
what all tall people love.
Yeah,
being
he
asked,
loves
"Do
that.
you
Yeah.
play basketball?"
He didn't speak much English.
There you go.
He's Portuguese speaking. So I speak a little Spanish, so we kind of had a little conversation going back and forth. But he was about 6'9", 6'10", maybe last year, and now he's listed at 7 feet, supposedly. You know how they push that up for all the ball players. And there's 2 6'9" guys there also at the forward. So you're looking at a 7 foot, 6'9", 6'9" front court, and possibly a couple guys, 6'3", 6'4" in the back court.
This is the last one I'm going to ask you about from the top 8, and that's MLK.
Yeah, MLK, a team that's coached by Sean Colson. Former pro basketball player, former public league guy, and also, and I think he's still there, I hope he's still there, Jason Lawson, who was a great player at Villanova. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he played at Alney, played at Villanova, and then played some overseas ball. He was a pro.
Got the experience.
He's a guy who transitioned from an average big guy in high school, 6'9", 6'10", to a really good Division I player. Probably one of the best improvements I've ever seen. And then ended up with a pro career, and now he was an assistant coach the last several years to Sean Colson for MLK. So they have 2 pro coaches, is what I'm getting at. And they have a very, very good line.
I love seeing that when you look at the experience, players that come back to coach, they've lived the game, they see the game. We see that a lot in football now with Doug Peterson and the Eagles. You see a guy that has lived the game, he's coming back. You've seen that with several NBA coaches too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We see that with NBA coaches as well. So that's a really great thing.
And MLK has an imposing big man also, Will McNair. So he's a 6'9" guy with a strong body. So and believe me, Sean Colson will get everything he can out of all his players. He's a very good coach.
There are some great teams to look at as we look out of the public. We stay with District 12, and we look at the Catholic League. There are some really great teams in this Catholic League. I think Archbishop Wood really has to be at the top of anybody's list, though.
Oh, absolutely. Archbishop Wood is, as some of you may know, PIAA Class 5A champions. Villanova product. One Villanova, I'm sorry. One Villanova product and Colin Gillespie. And
The best.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the best player in the city last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better than Quad A Green.
Better than that.
That's what I
Mean, that's a very bold statement.
it
but
is a bold
it's
statement.
definitely
It's a bold statement, Cap.
Yeah.
It's a bold statement.
But
But
it's
he
definitely
was-
you
he
could
was
definitely
great.
you could
He was
definitely
great.
argue it. He
Yeah.
is
Our production assistant agrees with you, actually. I see that.
good to
No, we don't agree. Never mind. We don't agree. Never mind.
Gillespie was a game changer.
Yes, he was.
He is the reason why Archbishop Wood got to where they are. And now it's going to be up to and the thing about, we've been talking about teams that are going to come back somewhat weak. They're not going to have a lot of experience in that starting lineup. But, Archbishop Wood has a 6'11" center in Seth Pinckney. They have a Quinnipiac recruit in Tyree Pickron. They have senior shooting guard Andrew Funk, who's a Bucknell Comet. And then Carrington Wallace is another old senior forward, 6'7", who's a Central Connecticut State Comet. So not only does Archbishop Wood have players coming back with varsity experience, they have Division I Comets that are going to hopefully lead them back to the state championship as Gillespie did.
And I agree. This is a team to beat. I mean, any team that plays this team is going to have a tough game. This is a big time
Well,
squad.
St. Joe's Prep's got them as we get into February. February 5th, St. Joe's Prep has them. That could be a really interesting game as we look at the Philadelphia Catholic League. We got a few more teams to look at in Catholic League. Newman Goretti is where I want to go to next, though. Newman Goretti.
Well, Newman Goretti lost 2 great players. We just mentioned Quad A. Green, and Quad A. Green was a big time guard. He's now at Kentucky.
Kentucky, yep.
I don't know how he's doing. I think he's playing some.
I believe he started
right?
a few games. I'm sure. I think he's shown some promise.
I mean, he's a guy. He was maybe 5'10", something like that. They might have listed him at 6 foot, but
yeah, and
160 pounds, right? And
somewhere along
talk
those
about
lines.
guts, right? I mean,
Yeah, quickness, agility. He could get to the rim
and the
just
athleticism.
like that.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
had
athleticism.
everything. I mean, but of course there was the big guy too,
Demir
Cosby Roundtree.
Another Villanova Comet.
That's right.
He's playing with Gillespie right now.
That's right.
Roundtree provided that presence inside that was almost impossible to guard, and it's going to be interesting to see how they replace not only Quad A. Green but
Tough
Cosby
to replace
Roundtree.
Quad A. Green, yeah. And Cosby Roundtree really developed into a better player as time went on.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
when I first saw him play, he was kind of not uncoordinated, but just hadn't put it all together yet. And it happens with a lot of big kids when they're younger, and all of a sudden they become 6'9", 6'10", and
They're
they have
growing
to,
into their body.
I mean, they're 15, 14 years old, and they have to,
And it's all about
grow
coaching.
up.
It's all about
Yeah.
how the coaches
And he's a
put,
great
you know,
coach.
how they put them into the system. So.
I remember
Carl
being
Allard,
6'9" at
yeah.
14, 15.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I remember those days.
Yeah, but I was going to say about Newman
Yeah.
Goretti, they do have a big guy. They have Marcus Little, and he is 6'9", about 240 pounds. Now he's not the.
That's a big boy.
That's
That's
a big
boy.
big young fella
That's a
there.
big boy.
Yeah, he's a bruiser. There's no question.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of interest. LaSalle, St. Joe, all the Big 5 schools want him. GW, Seton Hall, Miami, Penn State. They're
He'll
all
have his
looking at
options.
him.
He'll have
I mean,
his
he's grown into a man's body. He's 6'9", 240. His offensive game is still under development.
All right.
So that's where we stand.
Archbishop Ryan.
Always tough, Archbishop Ryan.
Ryan went into Pennsbury a couple weeks ago and destroyed them. They didn't score a lot, but Ryan is going to be another force to be reckoned with, and they could be a team that you see creeping up as the season comes along and at the top of the PCL.
It's a team that a lot of teams don't want to play because they always give them a good game. They may
Right.
not get to the top of the PCL because it's really a tough league, maybe
Yeah.
the best league in the state, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know,
arguably.
but Archbishop Ryan is always a team to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. We've got one team left, and I know we're running out of time quickly, but we've got one team left, or excuse me, 2 teams left.
There's a
forgive
couple
me.
of them,
We got
actually, yeah.
Bonner Prendy. I want to talk because I see
good
one
team.
more team on this list I have to talk to, but Bonner Prendy.
They're going to be a team this year that really uses their inside game. They're going to have a front court attack that it's going to keep defense. It's going to keep opposing teams on their feet, and more likely than not, Bonner Prendy will try and use key defense and just aggressive on ball defense to just try and get into the head of their opponents.
And they may have one of the better, and sometimes has been predicted to be the best player in the city, Isaiah Wong, who is a transfer from Notre Dame of New Jersey. So he's coming in, and he's a junior, Isaiah Wong. I have not seen him play. So he's a Jersey player, but he's already got interest from major Division I programs, a dynamic playmaker type. That's how he's described. 6'3", by the way.
The beauty part about the PCL is that there's so many Division I players scattered between all of these teams that it's like you don't know.
Oh, it's going to keep
you
it
don't know who's
interesting.
going to. You don't know who's.
Catholic League will be interesting all year long.
Absolutely.
And as we said, it might be the best league in the state.
It really could be. The last team I want to break down, LaSalle.
Yeah, LaSalle is one of those teams that always has a tenured rivalry with teams like St. Joe's Prep, Father Judge, and the thing is that these kids not only battle in basketball, but they battle each other in different sports throughout the year, and the rivalry will never go away, and that's what makes it so exciting to watch PCL basketball.
Absolutely. Well, be sure to stay with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but make sure you stay with us because we've got a lot of news and notes to put forth about this upcoming season on the Sports Fan Base Network. We've got a little bit of commentary about this show and what it's going to look like moving forward. So make sure you stay tuned to 3 in the Key.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215.
Thank you so much for being with us here as we had our first show of 3 in the Key on the Sports Fan Base Network. These shows are only possible because of our viewers at home. But before we wrap things up and say goodnight to you, we do have a couple of news and notes that we want to put forth to you just so you can get some great information about the Sports Fan Base Network. First off, make sure that you check back with us. We're going to be here each week so that we can break down games, analysis, stats. We've got some great experts here, and they are going to break everything down for you between the players themselves, the games, upcoming games, schedules, really just some great stuff. But in addition to 3 in the Key, which you'll be able to catch here on Monday nights throughout this entire season, there are some great shows on the Sports Fan Base Network that are going to be coming to you live as the season goes on. One of those shows is going to be On the Mat with Mark Tribble. That's Tuesdays at 7. Varsity Voice. It's got a new format. It's got a new host. That's going to be with Frankie Stokes, Wednesdays at 7. And then In the Paint, talking about girls basketball through Pennsylvania. That's with Nikki Jones. That show will be Thursdays at 7. So make sure you catch all that great action right here on the Sports Fan Base Network. Be sure to like, comment on this show, share it out, get the word out about 3 in the Key on the Sports Fan Base Network. We're going to be here all high school basketball season long. But hey, did we upset you? Did we not mention your team? Did we talk about your team in a way you might not have liked too much? Tell us. Put it in the comment section there. We would love to talk with you. This show is not possible without you, and we'd love to hear back from you. So be sure to comment and be sure to share this out so your friends and family can comment on it. You want to hear about your alma mater, about your current school? Tell us. We would love to talk about it. We'd love to break it all down for you. You can always catch up with 3 in the Key by downloading the latest podcast. So make sure you check out the podcast. Take us with you in the car. Take us with you wherever it is that you're going on your travels and all your journeys through. But hey, while you're at it and while you're checking out the podcast on the iTunes store, please do us a big favor and give us that 5-star rating. It is so important to us. So please, when you download the podcast, give us the 5-star rating. We absolutely appreciate it. In the meantime, before our next show and before the season goes on any further, be sure to check out www.thesfbn.com. You'll be able to check out our latest shows. You'll be able to see some bio pages of our staff. You'll also be able to see the upcoming schedule. Great information and great news articles breaking there every day. Gentlemen, I cannot thank you guys enough for being here with us tonight. You know, this being our inaugural show, I really enjoyed this time. I thank you guys so much for your insight, your analysis. I'm looking forward to a really great season, guys.
As am I.
This is going to be really great. I think we've got something special here. We want to thank our crew, our production crew, led by Julian Bellman. So thank you so much to Julian. Thank you so much to our crew. We are just so fortunate to have all those guys here with us. For Jack Kapp, for Josh Abrams, I'm Richie Blyweiss. You've been watching 3 in the Key on the Sports Fan Base Network. And I'm reminding you, stay classy and be good to each other.